Welcome to Wrong Time Watch. My name is Kevin, and today we're looking at the Laurier Neptune 3 and the Halios Fairwind. The price on the Laurier Neptune is $499, and the Halios Fairwind is $800 shipped to the USA. But if you live in Canada, you can get it for $775. The Halios Fairwind is currently out of stock, and I believe the Laurier Neptune is as well. So they're both in demand, but the Halios, I would say, is more in demand than the Laurier. But before we get into the watches any further, let's take a quick look at the packaging. I'll zoom out the camera here. Maybe. There we go. Okay, so Laurier Neptune comes in cardboard box. Bottom and top box. Already have it opened up. The watch will be sitting in here, and then it comes with this travel pouch, and also, yeah, there's a screwdriver in here as well. So you will get that with the Laurier. And then the Halios Fairwind comes in this nice, I would call this a travel case as well. Leather on the outside, gray leather, stamped with the Halios logo, and nice, I guess we call this suede interior. So very well done here. So let's get these out of the way and get back to the watches. So I had the Laurier first, and I received this just a little while ago, and as soon as I opened up the box for this, I figured I'd do a comparison video as they look pretty similar to each other. They are both micro brands. They have similar bracelets, similar styling. The Neptune you can get with the black and silver, which this is. You can also get it with black and gilt. And the Halios Fairwind, you have the stainless steel bezel option, and then you have the blue sapphire crystal version with the timing bezel, and then also with it's a dual time bezel. It would have 1 through 12 on it. Let me move this out of the way here. So case shape on both of these are, they're somewhat similar. Thicknesses are pretty close. The Neptune is 13 millimeter thick, and the Fairwind is 12.7 thick. I would say the Fairwind might look a little thinner. It has this neat trick here with this mid case and how it is thin here at the midsection here, and then it tapers down. And also the bezel is a little bit different too. The bezel is the same thickness as what's on the Neptune, but the knurling is just at the top half of that bezel. So the bezel looks thinner, but it's really about the same thickness. And the lugs taper down, I would say, about twice as quick. The angle difference is about twice as much on the Fairwind here. Maybe not. It's a little deceptive the way that this is machined here, because it slopes. The lugs are also sloping downward in this direction as well. So the bracelets are similar, but the Fairwind bracelet has more work done to it. The edges are chamfered here and also chamfered here. I'll show you what I mean here. So this bracelet is basically just a straight flat section on this surface here, and the edges are a little sharp. You can feel just a 90-degree corner on these edges of these links here, but you can see there is curvature on the bottom side. That's so that the bracelet can flex. It could probably flex a little bit in the other direction, but I'm not going to stretch it out like that. And you can see this is tapered. It tapers from 20 down to 16. Same as the Fairwind. But this tapers down much more quickly up here. It basically tapers in these first 3 links. and then the rest of the links are removable. So you can size this watch for a much smaller wrist than the Fairwind. The Fairwind, you're limited to 6.25-inch wrist. You cannot remove enough links to go down smaller than 6.25. But the taper is much more gradual. I prefer the look of this bracelet. It just tapers down much more gradually, and then you have your straight link here, and this one does have a screw in it, but you can't remove this one because this next link here is there's a pin in there, so you can't change that link out. And I have removed all of the removable links for my 6.5-inch wrist, and it does fit my wrist okay. So let's get into the dimensions a little further here. Neptune, we're looking at 47.2 lug to lug. That's this dimension here. And their Fairwind, we're looking at 47.7. And these both do have female center links, so the lug to lug is a true dimension. The Neptune is a little bit longer because this end link does protrude out past the lugs. Pretty sure my measurement is from the watch case. So that's one, I guess, pro for the Halios is it's better finished. There's more work that have gone into the bracelet links. Also, I like how on the Halios this end link is inside of the case. So let me bring that up and I'll show you here. So this end link is inside of the lug protrusion here. And also I'll show you the finishing on these bracelet links. It has a chamfer on the outside edge, and then also a chamfer between the links. No sharp edges on this bracelet. And it just feels, it's hard to put into words, but it just feels smoother. The way the links interact with each other and the way they feel, it just feels smoother than the Neptune. But the Neptune is a, it's a great watch too. Both of these have good bang for buck, just depending on what you want. If you want the plexiglass crystal, or if you want the box sapphire crystal of the Halios Fairwind. And the case does have a little more finishing than the Neptune as well. Anyway, back into the dimensions. Neptune I got at 39mm case diameter. The bezel is not as wide as the case. Let's see if I can angle this here. So you can see the case does stick out just slightly farther than the bezel, but you can still grab the bezel easy enough. And this is a 120 click bezel, unidirectional, as you would expect for a diver. Bezel action is it's okay. I don't have any complaints with it. Just went one click past that 12 o'clock indice, so I need to fix that. I think I messed it up again, but anyway, there we go. 120 click on that bezel. And this bezel here is 60 click, and it is bi-directional, which is a very interesting choice for a diver watch. I don't dive anyway. I don't know how many folks wearing these watches dive, but usually they're always unidirectional. So I'm not sure why they went with bi-directional. I guess it's more like a timing bezel versus a dive bezel. It doesn't have all of the hash marks on here anyway, so it's not technically a dive watch. But anyway, getting off track again. Diameter on this one, 38.6, and that's at the bezel. Bezel is 38.6, and the case is slightly smaller than that, and as I mentioned, it does taper down here, so it wears very comfortably on wrist. I can definitely see why there is a wait list, or I can see why both of these are out of stock currently. This one is for sure. I'm pretty sure that one's out of stock too. So thickness on this is 12.7, and thickness on the Laurier is 13. And both of these, lug width is 20, and they both taper down to 16. Clasp on the Halios is, I would say, is better as well. At least there's more work that has gone into it. I'll put it that way. So they both do have dual pusher deployants. This portion here is milled. This portion is stamped, and that has 3 micro adjust. It's just a nice small compact clasp, and this is a little bit thinner in this dimension as well. At least it appears to be. So to the Fairwind, it is a larger, more complicated system. It's thicker as well. You'll see there are no holes for micro adjust, although it does have these 2 screws on the side, and that's to retain that bar that's in here, which this pusher, this is a button that you push to expand. Well, I just contracted it, but then to expand it, you push this and pull out the bracelet. And you can just push it in without pushing the button there. Just like that. So it's a very neat system. We'll say this portion is milled. Now this is definitely milled. And I've not seen this before where that portion is bent to provide clearance for this. Normally they're just 2 bars on the outside and then this bar here, and then well, there's like a crossbar in there too where I'll show you. Actually, I can show you exactly what I'm talking about with this one here. So you have these separate portions with that crossbar, and then there's notches in here, and then this pin engages with that slot right there. So I'll show you both of these side by side so you can see the difference in the clasp dimensions. So there are less bracelet links on the Halios because the clasp is so large. So the Laurier may be a little more comfortable, but you still have this portion of the clasp here that comes all the way out here. So I guess it's kind of a moot point. Anyway, let's get the crowns facing in the same direction. You can see these side by side. So they both do have solid links, solid end links, and we just talked about the milled clasp. Now this is, I guess you can call it a signed clasp. It's a button with the logo, and then this is signed as well. Looks to be laser engraved. Now let's put them both this way. We can check out the crowns. Crown on the Laurier is a little bit bigger at actually it's quite a bit bigger. It's 7.5 millimeter, and then the crown on the Halios is 6.4, so 1.1 millimeter difference. That's quite a difference. It's about 15% larger, 20% larger, whatever that math works out to. So they're both 316L stainless steel. Sorry, I switched hands here. 316L stainless steel. Laurier, of course, has a Hasselite crystal. It feels like a plastic crystal, acrylic, Hasselite, plexiglass, whatever you want to call it. They're basically the same thing. This has a double dome sapphire crystal, and you can kind of see, I don't know if that's really a milky ring, but you can see around here there's kind of a white ring. You don't have that with plexiglass. I've always preferred sapphire over plexiglass because I'm always worried about scratching these up, but a lot of folks say it's not a big deal. You can just buff it out with toothpaste or polywash or whatever. I've never done that myself, but I can definitely see the appeal to plexiglass. It just harkens back to the old days, or the 60s and 70s, I guess, or even before that. It looks nice and different. But sapphire, this box domed sapphire crystal emulates plexiglass pretty well. So the Neptune has BGW9 lume, and the Fairwind has C3 Super Luminova. So I'm sure I got these in the wrong hand. I got myself messed up. The Fairwind has C3 superluminova. So I'm sure this will shine brighter at the end of the video here when we look at the lume, and Laurier has a BGW9. Okay, so talking about the movement, Neptune has Miota 9055, a no-date movement, which is 8 beats per second. Hopefully you can see the smoothness of the second hand on both of these watches. They're both 8 beats per second. 42-hour power reserve on the Neptune here, and accuracy is supposed to be plus 10 seconds, minus 30. Actually, I think it's backwards. I think it's a minus 10 seconds plus 30 seconds. And then this one here has the SW200-1, no date, 8 beats per second with a 38-hour power reserve. And the accuracy on this is plus or minus 12 seconds. I've always preferred the Miota 9000 series movements, 9015, 90S5. This is the 90S5. I think I might have said 9055, 90S5. It's a reliable movement. It's not as expensive as the Swiss ETA or Slita movements. It has an 8 beat per second sweep. Slightly more power reserve, but the accuracy is not quite as good as the Swiss watches. Personally, I really don't care so much about the accuracy. I like the thinness of the movement, and I like the 8 beat per second sweep. So let me get both of these on wrist. I think I've covered everything in my notes that I want to go over. I really can't pick one over the other because this, again, is a $500 watch. This is a $800 watch. I really like both of these watches for their price points. I mean, if money wasn't an object, I guess I would pick the Halios because it is better finished. It does have the Swiss movement, which is better, I guess, in a way. But you can't go wrong with either of these watches. So let me get both of these on wrist, and then we'll close out the video with the lume. If you have not subscribed yet, please go ahead and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. Like the video. You can share the video if you want. This would be great. Sorry, let me move these boxes. Let me get a better angle here with it on my wrist. The crown is, I think it's maybe a little bit too big, but it looks the part. Also, this does have drilled lugs, which is a benefit over the Halios. Neither of these have quick release bracelets. So let me zoom out on this one. I like the distortion of the crystal. These are both rated to 200 meter water resistance. I did not mention that earlier. And also, I'm not sure if you're noticing the light play on this bracelet. And then you can watch the light play on the other bracelet. Let me zoom back in here. All right, let's get the Neptune. Let's get the Fairwind on wrist. That was just the Neptune on my wrist. I think I need to expand this a little bit. That ought to do it. It feels maybe a little more comfortable on wrist. And the light play on the bracelet there's more light play on it because of the extra chamfering on the links there. The brushing is a little bit different as well. We got the polished case up there, polished edges. Also, the Halios does have applied indices. Neptune, they're just printed on. I like this handset though too. It reminds me of the Omega watches. I like the case sloping down on the Halios too. All right, we'll zoom out here and then we'll get to the loom. As I mentioned in my previous video, I'm typically not a fan of stainless steel bezels, but I actually like it on this watch. But like I said, if I could buy one of these from the Halios website instead of secondhand, I would have opted for the blue dial with the blue sapphire bezel. And there's that light play on the bracelet again. Very nice. All right, let me pause the video and then we'll check out the loom on these. Maybe I'll bring in my SKX too, just for a comparison of how these compare to Seiko Luma Bright. All right, so of course on the left we have the Laurier Neptune Generation 3. In the middle, the Halios Fairwind, and on the right, the Seiko SKX 009. I did just hit these with the UV light, but you can see the Halios is brighter than the Neptune, and actually the Halios is brighter than my Seiko SKX as well. So hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Sorry about the length of the video. And as always, appreciate you guys watching, taking the time, and I'll catch you on the next one.